Hi, thanks for joining in. I know it's been a while since we posted a video. We've had quite a few struggles with the boat, and even though I've taken lots and lots of footage, it's been really hard. I found it really a struggle to put everything together and into a video for you guys. Everything from the boat repairs to our travel to Ontario, our 40th anniversary, because we celebrated that as well.
40, yeah.
And so, despite having all that footage, we're going to start here today. We're going to do everything today. We'll run through all the issues and show you where we're at and get this up and posted so you have an update. And with that, Nick, I'll turn it over to you to talk about
Well,
the
originally,
haul out.
when we brought it over from the Souk Marina where we have our berth, we had a haul out plan, a 1 week haul out plan. And that was going to cover issues on the forecastle with the windlass. That was going to cover the leaky stern rudder post and the Maserati. The Maserati quit working on us on the way back from Victoria.
Trip to Victoria. Oh, and don't forget, did you mention the final install of the radar that we've been waiting on for?
Oh, that was the other, yes.
That was
I knew there was another one. The radar had been installed, but the wires hadn't been connected yet. So that was
And we also
something
needed that transducer to go through the bottom of the boat.
which is being installed soon. Anyway, we got it here, and everything was, taking along tickety-boo. And we parked the boat, and before we even left the boat, our shipwright, Roy, noticed, he said, "What's that?" And he heard running water. He opened it up and found a significant leak on the starboard aft thruster, which he fixed on the spot. And long story short, there was one clamp when there should have been two. And since then, all of them have been inspected and corrected wherever there was a fault. So
But the boat could have just sunk.
Oh,
We
yeah.
could have left the boat at this dock here before it was like the dock closest to the marina here, where they work on on the boats. We could have just left for the day and come back, and I don't know if our pumps could have managed that leak.
not through that kind of hole.
So, it was a godsend that he was there that day, and that they fixed it immediately, which was super nice. But that was only the beginning, Nick. What else?
Oh, yeah. So then we hauled it out, and they put it up on stands where it is now. And we'll show you some of that a little bit later, or in this video. We started to poke around and found out the rot up forward where the windlass was far more significant than we thought it was. So they're basically rebuilding the whole upper deck forward of the wheelhouse. So that's what, if you hear some buzzing in the background, that's
The guys are working up there.
the guys are working up there. Gordon's up there working away. And I can't say enough about the skill of these guys. Like, they are just, if you need work done and you're in this area and you don't come here, you're not getting the best. That's just, I'm not trying to be, I'm just being honest. I've seen, when you run into somebody who really knows what they're doing, they don't need to tell you. They just do it, and you see it.
And we've said this 100 times when, we're talking to our family and our friends, is these guys know what they're doing. Not only that, is they love this boat. Like, okay, you want to keep the customer happy, you want to say nice things about their boat, but you can tell they genuinely appreciate this boat. They knew the designer, William Garden, so they have the utmost respect, and they, like us, want this boat to be restored and fully functional and preserve it. It's a piece of history.
It certainly is. And on top of that, when it goes to sea, it's got their name on it. Like, they're the ones who did all the work. So when we take it to sea, they don't want us to have issues with it, because it reflects badly on them.
Anyway, so what were the other issues? Let's go through this list.
Yeah, we haven't even got started yet. So we found out that the rudder was bent. There was a lot of electrolysis on the propeller. The propeller, which is laying here on the deck beside me, actually kind of looked pink. And as I'm cleaning it, knocking off all the barnacles and so on, we found out that a lot of electrolysis had happened. Not only that, the bracket that holds the rudder, the prop shaft, was bent, and the cutlass, one of the cutlass bearings, was completely gone. So you had stainless steel rubbing on stainless steel.
So that post was in a hole without the bearings, and it was just every time we went.
It was
somewhere.
doing the wugga wugga wugga.
And the wear lines on it, like it's probably worn off 1/8 of an inch of the stainless steel post, and there's groove lines in it, and
Yeah, it's toast.
somebody had an accident with that boat.
Somebody hit something
banged it up
really
pretty badly. Like,
And then they
probably
tried-
not just a log, like
Well, whatever they hit it
Something
hard, and we don't know because in 50 years, who knows how long it's been this way.
and it was just a makeshift repair. Like
Yeah,
they
well,
didn't
that was
even
where I was
fix
going
it.
next.
Yeah.
They used a flexible coupling in the V-drive. For anybody who knows anything about mechanics, if your shaft isn't straight, then you have problems. And they tried to rectify those problems with a kind of rubber disc that they put in. It's called a shaft line saver, and it can work for that. But they were using it to counter this off angle
And
that they had created.
I just had a thought on this, Nick. It is totally possible. Like we know that this boat has been for a lot of its life been a dock queen, and it could have been that a previous owner just said, "Screw it, I don't want to invest the money in fixing it. Let's just get it functional so I can, toddle
Move
it
it from
around
place
here."
to place. Yeah.
But for the long haul of what we have planned, and ultimately our trip up to Alaska, that's not going to work. So for us, it's painful, but it's going to be okay. What are the other issue? What the barometric
so-
line? Don't forget about the barometric.
Oh, in the Maserati, when we got here, the Maserati tank was full to the top. And when we were out in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and I tried to dump the Maserati,
It was only half full then.
It was only half full.
Yeah.
So it went from half full to full. That's when I noticed, okay, we have a problem. I just don't know what it is yet. So when they got it up on what we call the hard, or put it up on land on this, we'll show you a shot, and you'll see what it's sitting on. But when they pulled that open, it was full to the top. More importantly, in a plumbing system, if you look underneath your sink, you'll see a gooseneck, and that gooseneck in that case is called a gas trap, and it keeps sewer gas in the sewer. This it needs the reverse of that, where it's not hanging down, it's up, so that you break the siphon. And what happens is, if you have a through hole that fails, it won't come up above the water line and then back down into your tank, because you've got that air pocket in it.
Yeah, it's like an anti-siphon, right? Or
Yeah.
it works like a siphon then, really.
Well, if
the
you
air's
don't
in
have
there,
it,
you
yes.
can't.
This was, and so instead of going like this into the tank, it went straight across and a 90-degree elbow in it, which you don't want. So it was open to the sea, about a foot below the water line. It could have very easily filled that tank,
And
come
why
up
it
through the head.
didn't?
Who knows? But that could have sunk the boat.
It could have just, it filled the tank, and it could have kept on filling. It could have overflowed the toilets. There's 2 heads in there.
We're just glad it didn't.
It could have, there's no way we could have gotten rid of that volume of,
That would have exceeded our bilge pumps,
yeah. And not only that, it would have been shitty water.
to put it
To
mildly.
put it mildly. Anyway,
So we've since rectified because the Maserati just quit, and inside the Maserati there's what they call duct valves, which allow the water to go one way but not the other. But once in a while, if you're not careful, or if you have a faulty piece of equipment, the duct valve, which looks like this, will flip, and that's how the water gets back
and
into
that's what
the
happened.
ocean. That's what happened to us.
How it didn't continue to fill, honestly.
Anyway,
We're here. The boat's here. It's in the best care. We're
it's in solid hands.
disheartened. We're
Well,
disappointed. We're discouraged.
Yes and no, because
But-
first of all, it makes the boat like it's going to be as safe as we can possibly make it. And if we have any issues, it won't be because the boat's not mechanically sound. It's because we did something stupid.
Yeah.
So
And the guys have gone through. The electrician here has gone through, and
We've had the
we
electrician
knew
go through it.
with the survey when we had the original survey that there were a few issues. He's gone through and identified the serious things. Don't,
rectified
Nick, it's
them.
only 9 o'clock in the morning.
I
Stop yawning.
can't. I I don't wake up till 2.
You go to bed at 3. No, it's me that goes to bed. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but not
A little.
far after 3. Okay, I go to bed at 8. Anyway, discouraged, yes. But the upside of all this is, I didn't realize it, but I know I personally had anxiety about not knowing the boat. You know, when you're buying a used car, especially an old car, because this car is 50 years old, you don't know what surprise it's going to give you. You don't know how it's going to perform. You're going for a big trip into the mountains. You don't know how it's going to be. Yet, we know now that everything's been looked at, picked apart, criticized, fixed if needed, left if not. If it could wait, it's going to wait. Although there wasn't a lot they left to wait, to be honest with you. But we know that we'll be safe going forward. So I think the next part we'll just take a walk around tour throughout the day, because we're actually here working on the boat. You can hear the guy in the back. He's got he's working on the forecastle, and when he takes a break, I'm going to take the camera up there and show you the great big hole in the bow of our boat. And they've hand cut, wooden beams to
the
replace.
craftsmanship is just mind blowing.
But and this boat this boat is good for many more years to come. We won't even own it probably before it has any more of these structural issues, because
I guess
really,
we can't own it after we're dead, huh?
well, they could bury us in it, but
Oh, like a Viking.
or turn it into a mausoleum.
Valhalla's calling me.
And let's not talk about it being underwater for that either.
Okay.
I don't want to be underwater with it. But yeah, so that's good news, and we'll have the confidence in knowing that this boat's got our back. And
I'm trying not to. I'm waking up.
Anyway, it's a little chilly here. We're sitting here.
Yeah, it
it's
is cool.
a beautiful Monday morning, but it's a little cool.
It's going to be in the 60s
We
today.
cannot wait to get this thing back in the water.
Oh my God!
I miss
it's
this
driving.
gentle rocking, the lull.
She likes to be rocked to sleep.
Anyway, yeah, hang on. We'll go through and take a tour of the things that are being worked on. We may be busy over here, but Finley, the non-boat dog, is quite happy to just sit and watch the ongoings here, or goings on, I guess.
Okay, wherever you see light color, that's all we're in there. We start up here. We brought it in just to have a little piece patched here where the windlass was.
Which is
When
right
they got
about
into it, which would be right about
here.
At the first rib back from the forecastle, from the point. So when they started to get into it, they kept finding more and more stuff that was wrong. And it got to a point where these 3 cross members, this one, and the end pieces over here, where they've been replaced, all had significant rot. They weren't rot tin, but they were rotting. Big difference. So they said, since we have it up here, let's do it right.
Yeah.
And we said, of course, because the last thing you want is for your anchor and your windlass to end up over there while you're drifting that way.
So the one thing that we're not going to have replaced is, this is a design feature. My finger. So along the sides here, right on here, we can see the raw wood, and over here used to be this lip that slid around the side of the boat.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it was for. They talked about it more being like a spot to hold water.
It did that.
But it did that well, and so we're not going to
aesthetic.
put that feature. It's more aesthetic than anything. We're not going to invest in having that put back on, because
If
it.
you notice, right there at the peak where you see that nut sticking out of that wood,
That bolt
there's a
there.
notch.
Yes, where
That should run from there all the way back to here.
back down to
And
here.
it acts like a shock absorber. So if you ever hit anything really hard, that'll crush, but it won't smash the whole front of the boat. It'll help absorb a lot of that shock.
Yeah.
That had been cut out in several different
Yeah,
places.
somebody
so it's a
removed
complete
pieces.
waste of time.
Yeah.
Because it has to be one continuous piece. It's like you're gonna make gas shocks with no gas in them.
Yeah.
So
So we're
they're going
having
to be-
that shock absorber
They're
replaced.
going to make putting something in place to do that job.
We're going to go down below and start looking up through here.
Yeah.
See what we can see. So this is from In the V Berth. Looking up. Nick's coming through the hole and stepping all over me. Or are you coming down? Yeah. So we thought of putting like a nice skylight in here, but we decided not to.
Yeah, maybe next.
Down here in the V Berth. This is normally where our feet are when we're sleeping. And up there is the locker for the anchor and all the chain.
They call it a chain locker.
Chain locker. Anyway, that's where most of the damage was, or rot, decay. And this beam here is just being patched, which is really kind of nice because this is original. So when the boat was built and got a registration number, these were put in when the boat was built, done by hand. Hate to lose that feature. And then of course over there is part of the beam that's compromised, which, let it focus, they're working on fixing.
Yeah, you won't notice it's there by the time they're done.
And so this is the rot
Port
on
side.
the port side. So we'll be so glad when this is fixed.
And it will be, like that beam will be supported. You can see pieces like this that are going to go on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And
So
that'll take
they
the weight that rotted piece
yeah, so
can't handle anymore.
yeah, they're going to, instead of ripping the whole thing out, they've got the back side of it with a new beam, and kind of keeps the integrity of this part of the original boat intact, which we appreciate. And of course, this is lovely, bright and airy, but a little bit too much for our bedroom.
See on a day like today in it.
Only because it's windy.
That's why you wouldn't do it.
It'll be quite breezy. There's already a breeze coming through here, and we're on land.
This is the black water tank. I know it doesn't look black, but never mind that. This is where all
black
your nasties
inside.
go. And this piece right here is what they call a macerator. This is what grinds everything in here into a paste and pumps it overboard. And this has been reinstalled. This is the new one. It's all ready to go. We just have to have that barometric loop we were talking about connected to this end of the hose.
Okay, and
here,
they're going to actually put it over here, if I can pan
Right.
behind you. This is the
Yes.
side of the boat.
where that
where-
junction box is.
Okay, and this is, oh yeah, where that old junction box is. And this is on the, behind the banquette seat,
Yeah,
right?
on the starboard side.
The starboard side.
So this tank was full right to here. Any more water, and we would have had a flood.
It would have just come right in up through
and it was
the
coming
toilet.
backwards through the system this way into the tank, because in here there's what they call a duct valve, and the duct valve had flipped, and all the water, because everything was on the same level and underwater, the head pressure of the water outside the boat was pressing back into the tank, and that's how come it was flooding. So we've corrected that problem. We're going to put in the airlock, the barometric loop, so that that doesn't happen again. But these are the things you learn as you go through the boat, front to back. So that's all set to go. I just have to wire it back up.
And I should say you did some of the work here too. They've been really
Well, I
good
installed
about
the pump.
you installed the pump, and they're going to check to make sure it's all installed properly. I mean, obviously because it's your first time, they're really good about allowing you to do some of the work and then just overseeing what you did.
Well,
sort of thing.
I do have some idea about what's going on from previous experience. And the other thing is that it's a great way to learn. And Roy is as much a teacher as he is a builder.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, first of all, it's a lot of fun.
So what we might do in the future is have a redundant pump sitting down somewhere in storage, so that if we were at sea and
Oh,
it
yeah,
failed,
we'll have
we'd have
another one of
another.
these.
We'll just have something
And
that we
another
can.
one of these.
This is the don't ever blow through me
Actually,
filter.
yeah, that's one you should never put your lips around the end of
That's
and
right.
blow in, right, Nick?
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
We know that. Ready?
Yeah, go. We're rolling.
This is a flexible coupling, and this was mounted here, and this was allowing the shaft to flex and be out of alignment.
Oh, even I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's that.
That's that flexible joint. Okay.
So we're putting that one back in?
We will, but it's
It doesn't need to be flexible anymore.
well, yes, it does, but not the way they were using it. So if
Okay.
we do hit something, this will actually flex like that,
Oh, okay.
and it'll save your drive line from bending the crap out of it. Or
So they were using it
softens the
for
blow.
the.
But
They were using it.
this way.
Oh,
like
not
torque this way.
to torque that way.
Not torque along it the way it's designed to be
to.
used. So, long story short, the propeller shaft comes up below. This is the drive shaft from the engine to the V drive, which is this piece behind me here. And if you see that silver tube down there,
Can I see the V drive?
this is just the drive shaft here. But if you notice that silver tube down here, my hand is, that's where the propeller goes
There it
out.
is.
The shaft, propeller shaft goes out through the hull to the propeller.
Okay.
And that from here to the nut that holds the propeller on is 15 feet. It's a long shaft. So you have to have everything exactly lined up right. So it doesn't do this. It spins on its axis.
On its axis, because it
Right.
wasn't. It was actually
it was doing
bouncing
what I call
around.
the wubba wubba.
Wubba, wubba.
Because it goes like this. It goes wubba wubba wubba.
Within that hole that has
Within
no
that hole.
that had no bearing left in it.
That's right. Now
Cutlass
all
bearing.
these hoses
Get down there and see.
have all been replaced. So that's all brand new. We've got a new
Double clamped.
through hull. This will seal
Where's the
that
through hole? I can't see it.
right under my foot, right here.
Okay.
That'll have a brand new piece of copper on it. That'll go over here, and where that shaft goes through, there's a seal, and that seal is water cooled. So that's where the raw water will come from to cool that, and it'll go out.
So it has to be open when we're at sea, right?
Yes,
But we have to have the ability to shut that while we're at
If
sea.
we blow that line, you have to be able to shut it off.
Okay. So that's something that we need to be up
Right.
on. Well,
So-
maybe especially me.
This is the hydraulic oil cooler right here. That's all been, I've taken that apart, cleaned it, made sure that there was, you could see through it, that there was no obstructions in it. You have the sea strainer here. That's the,
Oh, that's
there's
that
the
big
secondary
green thing?
filter. The main one is just a grate on the hull itself outside. And that
That's the
filters out
secondary.
most of the stuff. This gets the rest.
Okay.
To make sure that you don't screw the impeller up for your water pump on your engine, which is something else I'm working on. So there's a lot going on in this little space.
Okay. But a lot of that, except for the drive shaft part, you've been able to do.
Yeah.
I will go and continue outside and take a look what it means outside as well.
Okay, sure. Ready?
So here we are on the underside of the boat.
Okay. This is one of the supporting brackets for the propeller shaft. This is where when we are inside, instead it comes out of the boat, this is where it actually emerges from the boat. This bearing is being removed. It's called the cutlass bearing because there was a lot of electrolysis in that bearing. So he's had to cut it and try to punch it. He's not quite done cutting and taking that bearing out. So we'll pull that bearing out, put a new one in, and it'll come down to this bracket. Now this bracket, you can't see it. I doubt you can see it
I'll take a look here.
in the
I think right there you can see the.
video, but you can
Right
see
there.
where it's been cut and repaired. These two lines here are welds, and this is all stainless steel. So they're going to rebuild this.
So actually, in fact, I don't even know if it'll show on the video, but you can see where it comes down here and then it
Yeah.
angles slightly this way.
Right.
And it's not supposed to. So
No.
this took a blow to something somewhere.
Probably right in here.
And we're going to actually have this piece not
This
on
whole-
here because
that'll
this is
be gone.
actually probably the culprit. If this hit something, it would mess everything up from the top. So last time whenever the last, or not, it wasn't even the previous owners, it was the owners way before then, hit something with this, the repair job was to cut out these sections, one here and one over there, take the two sections out, angle the pieces a little bit differently so it fit the shaft, but it never really fit the shaft properly.
No, well, if you notice, this hole is not circular. It looks like an egg.
See that, may not be able to see that on the, oh my God, I mean in
Yeah.
like I can.
So the shaft is resting on this part. The shaft is stainless steel. This is stainless steel.
It was probably hitting here and up
Right.
here, because you can see where it's worn away here and here.
Because when this thing is in neutral, okay,
Yeah.
I should be able to take and turn the propeller with relative ease. Just
Yeah.
the weight of the driveline is the only thing I'd feel. I had to put everything I had into it to turn this thing. So we were losing a lot of power to the friction that was being created.
Yeah.
Okay, so this shaft is now, the shaft that went from there to here is no good anymore. And
Yeah.
we have to buy a new 15-foot shaft.
So that
You
shaft,
can show them the
the
old
shaft
one.
itself is like what, $2,500 just for that.
Yeah. well,
Let's go take a look at the rudder post, and we'll stop in on the
on the
propeller
shaft
as
on
well.
the way.
Yeah. Okay, so this is our rudder, and I'm hoping that you can see on video the actual bend in it. Like, I actually haven't seen it before. I mean, you guys told me there was a bend in it. I didn't even look at it, but
And it's also about 6 inches shorter than it should be. They had to cut the top off to get it out of the boat because it wouldn't drop down far enough.
no, because you guys had trouble getting it off too because it was so long.
So they cut the top off. They're going to have to weld it back on, which is fine. That's not a problem.
Oh, these guys had to cut it off.
Yeah, they cut it off, not me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They cut it off in order to get it
Oh,
out.
to get
of the
it out.
boat. So now that whole stern tube,
Just because there's not enough depth between
well, you've got
the rudder
it hits
post where
the
it comes
pavement
out, hits the
before it comes out of
pavement.
the boat.
Okay.
So they had to cut 6 inches off to make it short enough to get it out.
Good God,
So
look at the bend in
whole
that.
stern tube gland where the rudder post
No
sits,
wonder it was leaking.
That's why.
Hello.
Yes, well,
We've had
again,
that leak
there's also
since.
a result of the impact. Now, they did get the leak to stop before they noticed the rest of it.
I wonder if people don't know if you're insured and this happens, you can get your insurance to pay for it. Like,
I don't know, but that's one of the reasons you have insurance.
yes, well, good
Like
for
we
us
know.
that now it's all replaced and our insurance company will have the documentation that's been replaced. So if anything does happen, we are covered.
Right.
Okay.
So, and this thing weighs about 100 pounds.
And they're going to try and bend that.
They're
Right.
going to try and press it out straight.
And you spent so much time, so, oh, it's
Yeah.
so gleaming because it was covered in barnacles.
Well, it would have to be washed, it'd have to be scrubbed down again, washed in acetone. We have to do this before we paint it and put it back in.
Okay.
So,
Because
yes,
we are going to paint it with an anti-fouling
yes, and we're going to what they call wax the propeller.
propeller as well.
So the barnacle growth won't do that.
So one of the other things that we're doing that is not crucial to the operation is just some aesthetics. I am going to be sanding down and repainting our red stripe because the paint was coming off. It wasn't planned for the hollow, but since it's been out for so long and it's sitting here, we decided that I would tackle that. I've done a bit of a paint job over our damaged area. I don't know if I captured that in another video, but it did have a nice boo-boo there from a previous owner. At some point somebody took a blow there. It'd been fixed, but just a fix-up job, not a repair, perfect repair.
You can see right here is how many coats of paint
Oh, well, there's only a few on here. It was
on
blue
here,
underneath.
but when we were doing the stern, there was like 10.
Yeah, on the back. That's another spot we're looking at. I'll take a look there. So this area up here, these triangles, the little fins that stick out of the back of the boat, were in pretty rough shape. Even though it's above the water line, it took the time to sand them down. They're still being painted, but the other side, as I'll pan over here, has some rot in it, and I will be dealing with that. I have to go and get some product to clean that up. And yeah, we could ask them here to do it, but that'd be just one more thing to pay for, and it's not structural and it can be done fairly easily. So we're going to give it a try.
We can do it.
Stern thrusters. So
Okay, now these things are the thrusters. There's 4 of them. 2 in the stern, 2 up front on the bow, under the captain. They're literally straight down from the driver's seat. Anyway, these are really heavily encrusted inside, so they weren't working the way they were supposed to.
And I'm just going to say, technically, we paid to have them cleaned in March, and we'll leave it at that.
Let's just say that better jobs have been done. Anyway, then now they look a lot better. All
See
the
the hole in
barnacles
there.
are gone from the inside.
Yeah, like you couldn't even stick your finger in that hole because it was so full of barnacles all the way in. Barnacles
So that
and
really
mussels.
slowed down the response time of the boat when you're trying to maneuver in tight
So
quarters.
we may have to learn how to dock this boat all over again because the
Now-
thrusters are actually going to work.
And there were barnacles in here. And this is the engine cooling water outlet. And when you're running, water comes streaming out of here
Yeah.
because it's pumped.
That's
through.
what makes all those bubbles and stuff behind. So the one thing we're not going to get to is fixing up our swim
that's
platform.
cosmetic.
This is a cosmetic. It is older. It needs to be tightened there, and it's going to tighten a bolt.
Gotta be. That platform has to be rebuilt.
It's probably original. It needs to be rebuilt, but it would be a very expensive build. So for now, we're going to leave it. It's totally functional, and yeah, it's missing a piece here. So it's, aesthetically maybe not the best. We got some things like trim here. These should be replaced, but it's all cosmetic. We'll just get put another screw hole in. Not the same hole because then you end up, it just ends up stripping out the hole. Put another screw in there to secure that for now. A longer screw or bigger screw. But anyway, that's right now I'm just working on, I've got this all sanded down and it's ready to prime. I'm going to put some primer in the areas where the wood's exposed, and by the time I'm done with the back end of it today, hopefully, no, I won't have it done today. I say hopefully, but we'll have at least the red stripe on, hopefully, and the black maybe tomorrow or the day after. This here is the anti-fouling paint, and it prevents whatever's in it. It just things from growing on it because. Maybe I'll throw it we have some pictures of. Remember when we pulled it out of the water?
Oh my God.
Stuff that was growing on it, even though it had anti-fouling paint.
Boat hauling here, that's my thing. I'm gonna do the truck and the haul outs and stuff. And so I pick up, we have annual people that we pull out and bring them to their houses. And when I launch them, they rub the Penningtons all over the back end, shaft, propeller, rudder, etc.
Anyway, next, what else are we going to look at? Why don't we go look at the prop?
Yes.